Hey, how's it going? I'm Mia. I'm a mystic, and welcome to A Moment with Mystic Mia. All right, so I'm going to ask ChatGPT what we can do to kind of help visualize what the world we want. Because I feel like we keep getting these movies, these TV shows with just dystopian, dark themes. And I get it, there's like a shadow aspect in all people that needs to be expressed in some way, and it has its purposes, but I think the reason that we can't get to where we want to get to is because we don't know where it is we want to get to. And I mean, generally, we kind of have an idea, but does it always work out if everything's utopian? When you look at the Atlantean times, Lemurian times, like they didn't have technology like this. They had technology, and it was more spiritual, and they were just they just had a higher level of consciousness. But there were still people living poor, living as tradesmen, living in a higher status. There were socioeconomic problems back then as well, and it might have been more peaceful and people understood things a little bit better, but you know we have a better technology now, and we have the capability, after being through more darkness over a greater period of time, us as a human species, to go for greatness, more greatness. So anyway, that's my little spiel, being nervous and just talking a lot. So okay, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT for a question. The last two that I did on this channel is, what kind of soul family are you looking for? And what do you wish you had in your education when you were younger? So let's ask ChatGPT. Hey, so I'm looking to do another video on my spiritual commentary channel, and I was looking to see what kind of questions you might have for a topic. The two that I did before were, what kind of soul family are you looking for? And what do you wish you had in your education when you were younger? Let's see what ChatGPT has. All right, and I'll write down on my trusty notebook. I'm like freaking Blue's Clues here. All right, so what beliefs did you inherit when that you've now outgrown, and what replaced them? And that's like a lot of inner work. What role does suffering play in your spiritual journey? And do you still need to grow? Okay, so I just completed my initial spiritual awakening journey, which took about 7+ years. And I had like a few years of my big dark night of the soul before that. So it's like been 10 years. I'm done. I'm done with the inner work. I'm done with these questions. It's very helpful, and it's great for people who are still on that journey or kind of working through things right now. But I'm on a more kind of soul mission vibe. Are you spiritually lonely? All right. That could be something. And what would it look like to truly live as your higher self? Love that. Been kind of into those. And when did you first realize you were waking up, and what was the cost? Again, done with the spiritual awakening cycle. Kind of, I want to get away from that a little bit before I look back at that cycle. Just left it. Just want to get out. If you know, you know. All right. So are you spiritually lonely, and what does it look like to truly live as your higher self? Both these are great questions. What does it look like to truly live as your higher self? So I have seen, a lot of videos of monks who've ascended into their rainbow body, and I think it's about 15 to 40 years of just loving thoughts. And so as I was finishing up my initial spiritual journey, my spiritual awakening journey, which was like 7 years. So like I spiritually awakened, and then I had to, kind of learn a lot of things, heal, purge, go through trauma, you know, lose all your friends, all that, the whole deal, like lose everything in your life, crash and burn, start from square one, work on your health, work on your passions, figure out who you are, what are the kind of life you want to lead, being in service to others, okay, all that, right? So as this cycle was coming to a close, I was kind of wondering, like, who am I gonna be? Like, what am I gonna look like? I'm gonna be in the 5D, and I've come to realize that like 5D is just, I mean, it's a mental state, right? But it's not just a mental state; it's a physical state too, as well. Because once you become that 5D energy, you just have these loving thoughts, and your energies vibrating at that higher frequency. You tend to bring in other things that are at that higher frequency. What is my hair doing? And so, even the furniture that you bring, the materials that you bring, the people that you bring, the ideas that you bring in, the work opportunities that you bring in, the energy of the land, the places that you want to live, the homes, everything is like more high frequency, right? So it does become an actual place. Whether it's using your little sanctuary, or you're being guided to live in a more high frequency land, or just be around more like energy people. So that is a good question. So then I started getting I started, as this cycle was closing out, and I could tell, because oh my gosh, although the trials and tribulations and tests that come before wrapping up that cycle wasn't as intense as the dark night of the souls, or all that healing and purging and all those cycles, it tests your faith. And like, after so long being on this journey, like, to have your faith tested that hard, you're like, oh, I understand why you're going through the journey, but at the end, oh my gosh. So but I can tell, I'm like, okay, this is the end. I can get through this. It's gonna wrap up soon. I thought it was gonna be like 1 month, and then it ended up being 2 months, and then it went to 3 months, but like, that was it, so it's not too incredibly bad. And then you start to do a lot of intense inner work, and I did a lot of, like, I did a diet change and fasting while finishing up the last bit of inner work. It was like 6 weeks. There was like Venus and Mercury retrograde with an eclipse season, so I'm like, this 6 weeks is when it's going to happen. And I decided to do keto for those 6 weeks. I already knew that I was going to do that ahead of time. Like, wow, this worked out perfectly. Actually, I was going to do it 3 months before, but I pushed back because trial by fire, all these tests. And then some really cool inner work came up, and I was willing to do it because I knew it was towards the end. Some big things, like things I didn't really look at before, and as a whole, like, for example, my background and how it influenced me in so many different ways, and kind of like an overarching, really big, intense inner work. That was a 6-hour day, 6-hour intense inner work, hardcore. That was an intense one. But then there was like lighter things, like there were a few people that came through that were, out of all the people that are most important to me, they were like on the lowest of people that are still important to be on the lowest, though. And it was during a time of my teenage, young adulthood years, where I felt like I kind of neglected, because there were so many more hardcore trauma experiences that happened in my adulthood and in my childhood, that I kind of skipped over that part. But like, there were a few people or an experience or two that was still there that I didn't really look through, or didn't put too much inner work into. So little things and big things like that. But the coolest thing was when my higher self aspect came through, and it was the first time I saw what I would be like as my 5D higher self. And she was so cool. She was super uber feminine and very loving and very kind. I think I was sitting down to record a reading or something, and I was just like having gratitude for the camera and gratitude for the desk, gratitude for the cards, gratitude, you know, and I had unlimited loving energy come through me, and it was just radiating out of me, and it was super feminine, very secure, very strong, very loving. And I kind of understood like how, like what the monks might have done in those, you know, um, several decades of just unloving thoughts that they have to achieve in order to that they needed to do in order to achieve the rainbow body. Um, so what does my higher self truly look like? And I honestly think that a lot of our higher selves look like exactly like that, where you just um hmm imagine you're talking to your inner child. You know, when they say that you're talking to your inner child, you want to talk to them as like, you know, very lovingly. And when you talk to your spouse, you want to talk to them as if you're talking to your inner child, you know, like just very lovingly. And, you know, darling, what's wrong? Sweet sweetheart, like that's okay. Like, you know, we'll figure this out. Or that's not okay to do, but you know what? Like, what do you think is better? Like, or, you know, just like very lovingly, like, oh, like, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Let me help you out. Or what do you need? How can I love you better? You know, just very lovingly. And you're more kinder with them. You're gentler. And I feel like masculine energies would be the same way. They're just like strong, stern, but very loving. You know, because feminine energies is very the same way. It's very strong, firm, but like loving, but more in a feminine way and more in masculine ways. For masculines, that it's that. Um, like if you were in a Disney movie, like how you would act. Just if you had everything, if you had that, you know, when you're in love, that's what it is. You know, when you're so in love and the colors are brighter and you're just so nice to everyone, it's like, oh yeah, like you can tell, like she's, you know, she's in love, he's in love. That energy, that's what you are all the time. You know, when you first fall in love and you have that crush and you just loving on that person, but with a little bit of like sweetness added into it, like how you would treat your inner child, how you would treat your treat a child or the inner child within you. It would be unique because it would be how you treat your inner child and how you would act when you're in love. And that's like kind of like the difference of how other people's 5D would be compared to yours, but it's kind of still on that like very like you're on like the best drug on your life. You're on the best drug trip of your life, and you're just like loving on everyone. So it's like that's the difference I feel like with people's 5D energy, but ultimately it would be that. So I saw a glimpse of it, and I'm very much looking forward to embodying her more. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I think I like the other question too. I'll answer that in another video. Talk to you soon. Much love and light.